Good morning everybody, it's Friday the 22nd of January and today we are going to be completing our independent first person narratives. Our final do now for the week is to make the necessary corrections to the text below. Tears went down my face. I couldn't believe they didn't trust me. I knew I needed to convince them. Pause the video here whilst you make the edits you think you need and then press play once you're ready to continue with the rest of the lesson. Great job everyone, let's see how we did. So you can see the first edit I made was to change went to rolled. Went didn't really fit with the sentence. Rolled I think is a better fit, so you should have changed your verb there. You might have changed it to a different verb, but as long as you think it fits, then I'll let you have that one. And you can see that I also had a full stop after face. That's because before I had a run-on sentence, a comma splice to be exact. I had two main clauses connected with just a comma, and that wasn't the correct use of punctuation. So I've used a full stop after face. And I forgot my apostrophe in my contraction for couldn't. Because I've dropped the O, I need the apostrophe to replace it instead. I also had a spelling mistake here as well. Believe, B-E-L-I-E-V-E. I missed out the I before. And I also missed out another apostrophe in didn't. So N''T at the end of that one. And again, another run-on sentence. I just didn't use a full stop at all. So now you need a full stop after me. And knew was the incorrect spelling of knew in this context. Knew as in you needed to know, as in knowledge. You needed that silent K, knew. I also had another misspelling. Needed is two E's, not E-A. And a full stop at the very end. So lots of edits to find there. Hope you managed to find all of them. If you didn't, then pause the video here whilst you make any last adjustments that you need to, or continue watching once you're ready to proceed with the rest of the lesson. So in this final paragraph today, we want Zoe to start feeling trapped. So hopefully yesterday your paragraph ended with the people on the island or on the ship talking between themselves, and now we want Zoe to be feeling quite frustrated with that. Then she's going to reason with them. She's going to try and talk them down and explain her situation and get them to come onto her side. And then they're going to make a decision. I think Zoe will be best if Zoe ends up staying, but it's up to you how you want this dialogue to pan out. And then Zoe made a decision, so she can either decide to stay or she might reject their decision, but try and leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger, because we can imagine that what the exciting part would happen next will be in the next chapter. So I'll talk a little bit more about this a bit later, but for now, just to recap our features. So the Walt for this paragraph last week was to convey character through speech and action. So again, thinking about Zoe's emotions, how she's feeling at that beginning part, what she's going to say and how she's going to say it will convey her character, and equally with the people on the island or the ship as well. We want to use relative clauses to add relevant detail, if possible. Fronted adverbials, prepositions and conjunctions for cohesion. Some show not tell, which will link in with that speech and action too. Making sure it is written in the past tense and in first person. Because there will be dialogue in this section, it's really important to remember that punctuation. Maybe short sentences and deliberate repetition for emphasis and tension. I think that would be great towards the end when we're leaving it on that cliffhanger. Rhetorical questions too, again, would work really well at the end, or maybe the beginning is they're talking between themselves. Figurative language, if you think it would be appropriate to describe the setting, and any unique phrases and vocabulary you have drawn from your wider reading. So as always, you have your planning sheet attached to your home learning document. You may want to download that now, and just so you've got the steps to success handy, or you may want to plan out on lined paper. I know a lot of you have been doing that. It's been working really well, but pause here if you need to get pencil or a pen, or get the sheet downloaded, and press play once you're ready to go through the planning together. Okay, right, so this is the planning sheet. I've already planned this out, and I'll talk you through the different ideas as we go through. So I felt trapped. Now it depends on really how you changed your last paragraph, how that last paragraph ended, sorry. So I've just kind of said that they were talking between themselves. I've not said what they were suspecting me of. Some of you may have ended it on a slightly happier note. Some of you may have ended it on them really striking a lot of suspicion towards you. So there's different emotions that Zoe could be feeling that go with trapped. Angry, worried and upset, and I've numbered them 1, 2 and 3. You might have a different emotion that you want to describe, and that's absolutely fine, but these are 3 that we can discuss now. So pause and have a think. How could you use show not tell to express each of these emotions here? So pause the video, have a think about it, and then press play once you're ready. Okay, well done. So let's see what we could include. So for angry, we could have that my heart raced, my heart was racing, my cheeks burned, or my cheeks were blazing red, or something like that. I clenched my fists, and so on. Lots of different ways you can express anger. For worried, so she might be feeling concerned that they're going to eject her from the island or from the ship. She started to sweat. Maybe she paced around in a circle, or her stomach churned. Again, lots of different ideas for worried. Maybe she started to shake. For upset, maybe she started to cry, felt a lump in my throat. You could also think about what she did to distract herself from crying. So some people pinch themselves to distract themselves from being so upset. So maybe she's doing that subtly in her pocket or something. So pause the video here and jot down what example of show not tell you want to use for the emotion that you think that Zoe would feel at this point, and press play once you're ready to proceed. Okay, wonderful. Remember, just keep nice, short, snappy notes. It's just to give you ideas for the written part. So I tried to reason with the new people. Now, think about how this could link in with the I felt trapped step. So, for example, if you want her to just lose her temper a little bit, and because she's so frustrated with this, it keeps happening, and just plan out what sort of speech you might want that to be. So look at us, we almost died. How can you helped us, you brought us up on board, this isn't our fault. How can you be so cruel? We're just a couple of teenagers. How can you think that we would do anything to harm you? Or look, why is no one helpful now? What's wrong with the world? Some sort of question like that. You might want her to become calm before speaking. So even if she's any of these emotions, Zoe might be aware that actually snapping and being angry might not be the best way to progress and build relationships with these people. So she might calm herself. So again, just plan out what sort of speech that might look like. Say, look, I know you don't trust us and I don't blame you, or look, we've given you no reason to trust us so far, or please, we're just looking for somewhere to stay. Honestly, you can take our belongings away, we won't betray you. If you want her to still show that she's worried or upset, then feel free to plan that in here. So just quickly plan in what speech you want to include that will show the emotion. Okay, pause the video while you jot that down and press play once you're ready. Okay, well done. So now they made a decision, and this can be a bit complex for me to explain, so bear with me, depending on how you want your ending to pan out. So there's 4 different options that I can think of. Of course, if you have a different one in mind, then feel free. But one option, the one that I'm going with, is they're going to say, okay, we'll take you to Captain Natasha. And that's when, in the next stage, Zoe's going to think, wait, Natasha? Really? That name rings a bell. Couldn't possibly be, or could it? Similarly, so we need to speak to Tom and Mary. Now, by Tom and Mary, I'm just giving her parents' names here. In the book, it doesn't actually say what her parents are called, so you can just make that up. Whatever you think would be a sensible name for her mum and dad. I'm just using Tom and Mary as an example. And again, having the combination of both parents' names might make Zoe think that's really strange that those are my parents' names. Could it be? Or it can't possibly be. Is it them? You could just have a new character who hasn't been mentioned at all. I keep talking about a potential big villain that you could have. You come in with those you need to meet, and then you can give them kind of a scary sounding name, like the something. Here to build up a bit of drama and suspense for the end when it's a bit of a cliffhanger. The alternative one, and you would be stepping away from this model quite a bit, but I think would work quite well, is if actually her parents or Natasha or the leader, if you want them, to kind of come forward and break through the group and kind of say, you know, what's going on here. Or even if it's her parents, they could say, Zoe, is that you? You're alive? Oh my goodness. And that's when you've got your next bit. That could be the resolution to that and Zoe's reaction. So 4 different ways you could structure this. They made a decision. Either way, you want to plan out the dialogue, who's speaking and what they say, mirroring how that person would feel. So if you're going for step 4, her parents or Natasha come forward, they're going to be so surprised, but probably so over the moon that they found Zoe, and you want that speech to reflect that. If you just want the people on the ship to hint that it could be Natasha or Tom and Mary or her parents, sorry, then obviously that might be slightly different. So pause the video here and jot down how you want that dialogue to pan out there. Okay, wonderful. So now we're up to our final step. So this is I made a decision, and this just really depends on how the conversation went earlier on. So I was astounded. Could it be? This would link in with number 1 and 2, and also number 4 actually. Number 2, something like I found out I had to find out the truth. Again, linking in with more of these 2. She might go willingly or reluctantly. Just what does Zoe decide? Or remember last week we kind of talked about I had no choice. She still really doesn't have much of a choice, particularly if she needs to find out if that's her parents or Natasha. So just really we want kind of an exciting ending, a bit of a cliffhanger. You know, we don't want to go too much into the reunion if that's true, because that would be our next chapter. So imagine this is like the final paragraph of a chapter, and you want to keep your the reader engaged and to be excited and read on. But just think about the reaction if there was a revelation here, and does Zoe willingly go? Is she reluctant? Or you could have that she refuses. Sorry, refused. I'll change that to past tense. Maybe she refused to go and she is willing to stand her ground. This one would fit in more with if it's a new character who sounds quite sinister and scary. So pause the video here and write up the idea that you have for the I made a decision, and then we will look at writing a shared paragraph together. Okay, so for this final paragraph, we want to make sure that we do end it powerfully. We've had a lot of build up to this moment, and especially if you're having a twist, you don't want to let anything drop here. So it's a shorter paragraph, yes, but we want to make sure we're including all the devices to make it really dramatic. And yeah, and just have fun with it, because we want to really celebrate all of the hard work we put in this week. We want to make sure that we end on a high. It will be editing on Monday across the whole piece, but for today we will need to make sure it's still really cohesive, really powerful, and really engaging for the reader. So I felt trapped. Now you should have planned in how you want to express Zoe feeling trapped. I'm going for anger. I don't want to particularly use an opener here. I'm just going to go straight in with my cheeks. My cheeks, and I talked about feeling like they were burning, so my cheeks burned. And I think it works well if you link 2 things together. I'm not going to use a second show. I'm just going to use a tell with what emotion she was feeling, and I felt a surge of anger rise inside of me. I think another great word for talking about anger is boil. So I could feel anger boiling inside of me, rise inside of me. And I want this Zoe and this narrative to stand up for herself a little bit more than she did in the last one. She's had a character development. She's survived against the odds again. She escaped Seals Island. She escaped that terrible place. And I want her to acknowledge that and you know, and stand up for herself. So I'm going to make that statement because I think it's important that, because it's a first person narrative, we need to know what Zoe's thoughts were and her rationale and why she was thinking certain things. So I wasn't about to roll over and let them or someone else decide my fate, and then just to really make it dramatic. Nice short sentence, not like last time, to emphasize that there. Okay, not like last time. Sorry, cross my T. And then I'm ready for my blue section. So this is when she's going to start talking. I don't want Zoe to be calm. I want her to be feeling quite cross. So I want her speech to reflect that. So she's going to get a little bit bossy with what she's saying. So she's going to tell them, listen here. Listen here. And I'm going to disrupt the dialogue with how she spoke. So listen here. I've got my comma, inverted commas. I said is absolutely fine to use, as I've said a few times this week, with an adverb here, so slowly or firmly. I think because she's feeling quite confident when she's also angry, I think speaking slowly would really get the message across that she means business. So listen here, I said slowly. I'm going to use a comma and carry it on, and then inverted commas, but because I've got the comma here, whoops, I don't have a capital Y here for you. You don't have to trust us. You don't have to trust us, but you must respect us. They haven't been too welcoming or too respectful so far. You don't have to trust us, but you must respect us. We could be useful. So she's trying to sell her skill set to them now. We could be useful. We could be useful. We did survive the night in that boat. After all, so clearly she's resilient, resourceful, and she's got skills that would be helpful for a crew who are sailing around in a supply ship. So I've got my speech here, so she reason with the foes, and I want them to have made a decision. And you know, she's a teenage girl, she's standing up for herself, she's made a bold statement, and I think I want to show how the crowd would respond to that. And you know how if a crowd kind of talking, you can't really make out what they're saying, but you can tell from the tone of it if it's angry or if it's a positive. So I'm going to have a murmur of agreement. Rippled across the crowd. You could have them react in a different way. They could be really angry, they could be agreeing like in mine, but they made a decision. Also note that with dialogue, I've started on a new line here. I had to, but I would have done anyway, between the red and the blue section. And here, this green bit would have to go on a new line, even if I had room. So just make sure that with your speech it is paragraphed. A murmur of agreement rippled across the crowd. Sorry, I need to dot that there. And then I want some speech. So I'm just going to use it at the beginning again, because it is broken up with this line, so it's not too repetitive if I have the speech at the start. And I'm going to have the first man who spoke to her is going to reply, and I want him to basically say, okay, right, we'll get you some fresh clothes and get you some food, and then you can meet our captain Natasha. And just to make it really clear to the reader that Natasha is the same Natasha we've already met, I'm going to then emphasize how she's the same age as Zoe as well, because then that will make it more likely that it is, you know, the Natasha we know from the book and not just a different character called Natasha. So he's going to agree. All right then. Full stop. We'll get you. We'll get you both. We'll get you both some fresh clothes. And food. But then, so again, don't have too many clunky sentences. These conjunctions, these coordinate conjunctions, for and nor, but or yet so, are really good at linking ideas together, so it's not too stilted. We'll get you both some fresh clothes and food, but then you can meet Natasha, or we'll take you to Natasha, but then you must meet Natasha, but then you must meet Natasha, our captain. So again, just reiterating who the captain is, and then I'm going to say, as I said, give a bit more detail about this captain. So she's the same age. She's about your age and just as feisty. Oh, you might get on. And because I want it to be the same man as at the beginning, I'm going to use the same description. I described him as a horse-sounding man, so I'm going to use that again. The horseman replied. So he seems like he's one of the main spokespeople in this crowd. He's spoken twice. Okay, that's my green section. I should hopefully be able to fit on this purple bit here at the very bottom. Okay, right, so our purple. And now I want the reaction to that. So we know that we've now got a captain called Natasha, who's the same age as Zoe and has a similar personality. It's seeming increasingly likely it's the Natasha we know. So her reaction to that is my body jolted, which shows that she's shocked. My body jolted. It could have my heart skipped a beat, my heart started to race, or I shook my head in confusion, or my eyes widened, or my jaw dropped. Some sort of show not tell here reaction. My body jolted, and then I want to have a series of questions to show again how confused Zoe is with this revelation. So I'm going to have Natasha, question mark, Natasha, could it be? I could use a third one if I wanted to. Natasha, could it be? I won't, but it would work well if I wanted to use a third one. And then she's going to agree to go. So she's going to agree to go quite enthusiastically. So I gave a firm nod. And this is when prepositions are useful. Sorry, I didn't mean to cross that. Followed him using towards as my preposition, towards the cabin, just to show that they are moving location. You could have ended on I gave a firm nod and went with him. It's entirely up to you. So I've got my model. It looks quite long again, but I think I just got a bit carried away with the green section here. So I'm just going to read this to myself and see if I'm happy with it, if I need to make any edits. I've seen some really great examples being uploaded of children who've clearly edited their work carefully by using the arrows and dotting the spellings and correcting them. So please make sure you are doing that. My cheeks burned and I felt a surge of anger rise inside of me. I wasn't about to roll over and let them decide my fate. Not like last time. Listen here, I said slowly. You don't have to trust us, but you must respect us. We could be useful. We did survive the night in that boat, after all. A murmur of agreement rippled across the crowd. All right then. We'll get you both some fresh clothes and food, but then you must meet Natasha, our captain. She's about your age and just as feisty. You might get on, the horseman replied. My body jolted. Natasha? Could it be? I gave a firm nod and followed him towards the cabin. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I think I need to go back in and loop some of my bees around a little bit more. I'm sorry, hopefully that is clear enough. That was what I've written. And then you've got your editing checklist to take a look at afterwards as well, to make sure you do read it to yourself aloud again. Again, it's lovely if we can hear you reading your work out loud, and then you can perform it and you can really just convey the atmosphere that you're trying to create with the vocabulary and the sentences. So anyway, really excited to see how these finish off. We are going to be doing a full editing session on Monday, so we're not quite done with this unit just yet, and there's a nice little treat in Monday's lesson too, which I will reveal on Monday. So have a lovely weekend, and I hope you have a lot of fun finishing off this narrative. Can't wait to read them, and I will be with you all again on Monday morning. Okay, take care everyone. Have a great day. Bye.